Hey guys, I am back again. Y'all know when I fast, God be whoop, it just be coming. So I'm back on here again. I hope you guys that are doing the fast with the Bold for Christ family, I hope it's going well. Stick in there, whatever, however God tells you to fast, just stick in there. If you ate something and you're just starting, just jump on in. Come on. I'm sitting here drinking some lemon water. But as I was on my break, I work from home, of course. I went to go put on some clothes because I still had on my night clothes. As you can see from the previous word I released this morning, I had on my night clothes. But as I was getting dressed in the bathroom, the Lord brought me back to a dream that He literally gave me in 2021. And I've never shared this with you guys before, but um, it's a now word. Um, so I was divorced 9/9 of 2020, right? In December of 2020, my ex-husband called me and was like, I want my wife back. Let's make it work. Da, da, da. I gave you guys that testimony recently, actually, of how that was just the worst trip I had ever been on. When he called in December and I flew there, that was the worst trip ever. But God was behind it all, right? God was behind it all. And I gave you guys that testimony. But during that time, I was close to my ex-husband's auntie. And she was getting ready. Well, this was after that time. I was close to her at that time, but I was still talking to her, even though that December trip was pure hell. I was still talking to her, and we were like really close. I was really close with my ex-husband's aunt, and she was getting ready to have a surgery March of 2021. So that trip from hell happened in December of 2020. And then my ex-husband's aunt, was getting ready to have a surgery March of 2021. So I had offered to come and help her since no one was able to take off work, or I forgot what the situation was. Like she has family in Arkansas, but nobody was able to take off work and help her, or whatever the case may be. So I just felt it in my heart to volunteer. And she took it back to God as well, because she's a woman of God. She's actually one of the truest women of God in her family. And God had revealed that to me several times, that she is the one that He chose to break generational curses in that family line, and He just chooses to use her. I haven't talked to her recently, so I don't know if she's been able to come out of her shell, but God wanted to use her majorly in her family. So anyways, I had offered to come up there March 2021 to help her for about a week or whatever, because she wouldn't be able to get around and drive and do all that stuff. And I was doing it from the bottom of my heart. I wasn't doing it because I was going to try to get my ex-husband back or anything like that. Mind you, she lives right up the street from my ex-husband. Like, her daughter lives next door to my ex-husband. But my ex-husband's auntie that I was going to go help, she lived about 5 minutes away from him. But I wasn't doing any of it for him. I was doing it simply because I'm a good-hearted person. Like, I'm always willing to help other people, even if it makes me feel uncomfortable. So she had prayed about it, and God gave her the go to allow me to come and help her. And He gave me the go to go and help her, right? So I went there to Arkansas, and she had her little surgery operation or whatever. And I was at her house. And the whole time I was there, about a week or so, the dreams were coming back to back. Like, God was speaking to me so loudly in my dreams. And before her surgery, one of the first dreams I had, actually the first night that I was there, I had a dream that his aunt came to the room that I was staying in. I was in one of her guest rooms. She had like a 3-bedroom home. I was in one of her guest rooms in real life, but in the dream, she came to the door of the guest room that I was in, and she said, I see a dark cloud over your bed, right? I see a dark cloud over your bed. And when I woke up from that dream, the Lord spoke to me, because I thought it was a bad thing. I was like, there's a dark cloud over my bed. Like, what's going on? And God was like, no, He was like, no, remember, I led the Israelites in the wilderness as a cloud by day. Or is it a cloud by day? Hold on. I think it's a cloud by day, fire by night. Hold on, guys. Yes. He led the Israelites in the wilderness as a cloud by day and fire by night, right? It was him watching over them and protecting them in their wilderness. So at that moment, I was in a wilderness, right? This was right after my divorce, and I was just beginning my wilderness and isolation season. So that was God's way of telling me he was watching over me, like he was there with me, right? So that was the first night I stayed at her house. And he was showing that I had the victory. My ex-husband's auntie's name is Eunice. I call her Miss Eunice because I'm respectful. So I always put a Miss on the front of anybody's name that's older than me. But her name is Eunice, and her name means victory. So God was telling me, I'm in a wilderness season, and you're going to feel like you're just wandering. You're going to feel by yourself. You're not going to know what's ahead of you, but I'm right there with you, leading you, right? I'm right there with you, leading you as a cloud by day, right? And a fire by night. So that was the first night I had got there. She went and she had her surgery. And after she had her surgery, I had a dream that I was pushing her in a wheelchair. And as I'm pushing her in a wheelchair, someone came behind me and punched me in my lower back, and I let go of her wheelchair, right? I let go of her wheelchair. That was the end of the dream, right? So in that dream, God was showing me that I've been sent there to provide care to her, but I was going to feel like I'm being stabbed in the back, right? I was going to feel like I'm being stabbed in the back, even though I was sent there to care for somebody, right? And it was kind of his way of saying, don't let go. Don't let go of why you were sent there. Don't let go of caring for that person. Because if I'm pushing someone in a wheelchair and I let go, depending on where I am, you let go and you're on a hill or something, that person just goes rolling, right? They're rolling on their own without any guidance. So God was saying, you're there to provide care to her, but someone's going to backstab you. You're going to get backstabbed in one way, shape, or form. Someone's going to hit you very low. They're going to hit you very low, and you're going to want to let go of the reason why you were sent there because of the hurt that you're going to feel. And I felt the pain in the dream of them punching me in the lower back, right? But he was saying, don't let go. So the Lord brought me back to this dream this morning, and about a day or two after I had that dream, when I was there, I was pretty much stabbed in the back by my ex-husband's mom, my ex-mother-in-law. We went to this family get-together that my ex-husband's auntie's daughter was having. And as we're sitting there, there's a bunch of family members that I don't even know. But as I'm sitting at the table eating, his mom begins to talk about our marriage and some of the things that my ex-husband had shared with her, and a bunch of stuff in front of the family, right? In the kitchen, in front of a bunch of people that I didn't even know. And I felt so embarrassed. I felt so betrayed and embarrassed, and I was angry. And after that happened, my ex-husband's auntie, she was like, are you ready to go? About 5 or 10 minutes later, because she knew that I was embarrassed. Like my ex-mother-in-law just began to talk about my marriage and so many different things in front of these people I did not know. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't, but that was no place for her to discuss my marriage and what she thought about my marriage and all of this nonsense, but she did. And I remember when me and my ex-husband's aunt left the house to go back to her house, I expressed to my ex-husband's auntie how I felt. I was like, that was wrong. I was like, on so many levels. And I didn't say anything to my ex-mother-in-law at that time because it wasn't the place. But when we left, I had it in my heart to block her from my phone. I was like, I'm done talking to her. I was like, this lady, for her to be an evangelist, I was like, she is so backwards. I was angry. And I remember blocking her on my cell phone and just saying, I'm not going to talk to her anymore. right? I'm not going to talk to her anymore. I'm done with her. I was like, this lady is so crooked and twisted. I was angry. And I was ready to go home, but I knew I had came there to help my ex-husband's auntie. But I was done with my ex-mother-in-law. I was like, man, this lady, for her to be an evangelist and you not know better as far as what you're doing and your actions, I was like, it's crazy. So I remember blocking her as I was there on my cell phone. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to her the rest of the time that I'm here. And God spoke to me. He said, when you make me angry, do I block you? And I was like, no, Lord. He's like, unblock her. I'm going to use this situation. He's like, if you make me angry, hold on, guys. He was like, if you make me angry and you don't follow something that I tell you to do, I don't block your prayers. I still listen to you. I still hear you. When I'm angry with you, he was like, I still am there. I will never leave you or forsake you. He's like, unblock her and let me handle it. He's like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say a word to her. He's like, I'm going to handle it, but unblock her. And I remember unblocking her number. And I was just like, okay, Lord, do your thing. A few hours later, my ex-mother-in-law sent me a text and she apologized. She knew she was wrong. She knew she was wrong. So she apologized and I accepted her apology. And I told her back in text message, because she asked me, she's like, if I offended you yesterday, I apologize. Like, you know, you offended me, right? She's like, I apologize. And I wrote her back. I was like, yeah, you did offend me. And she's like, why didn't you say anything? And I said, because God said he would deal with you. And she said, oh, okay. I remember this conversation like it was yesterday. But she apologized to me and I accepted the apology, right? But I never quite looked at her the same way because that just left it. I forgave her, but I also knew God was telling me, use wisdom, use wisdom and pay attention to who you're surrounded by, right? Use wisdom. Don't hold anything against her, forgive her. But now I'm opening your eyes to see the battle that she has going on between good and evil. And I began to see that in so many of her character traits, that she had a battle going on between good and evil. And it's probably a battle she still has going on today. I don't know. I don't talk to her. Still love her with the love of the Lord, but God began to open my eyes to her, to her ways, to her character, right? And I just began to pay attention to that. But God would not let me block her. God would not let me leave, even though I wanted to leave there early because I was over it. I was embarrassed. God was like, I sent you here to care for somebody. Finish out your job. You made an agreement, right? You made a covenant with someone. I made a covenant with my ex-husband's auntie. I said that I would come there and help her. He was like, you're going to finish out the job. I am guiding you cloud by day, fire by night. You're in a wilderness season, but I got you. Things are going to happen as you're in the wilderness season, but I got you. But don't let go of caring for someone else because of what someone else is doing. Don't let go. You were sent here to care for someone. And if you let go too soon, you're not only breaking, why is everybody calling me? You're not only breaking your covenant and your promise to that person, but my gosh, hold on, guys. You're not only breaking your covenant and your promise to that person, but I sent you here for a purpose, is what God was saying. So I'm telling you guys this to say, regardless of what season you're in, you could be in a wilderness season, you could be just coming out of a wilderness season, you can be in so many, whatever season you're in, you may get hit and backstabbed and betrayed, but don't let go of the reason why you are there. Don't let go of the reason why God sent you there. Finish out whatever the purpose is that God has you for in that place. He is guiding you in that season, whether it's a wilderness or not. He's guiding you cloud by day, fire by night. You will not be touched. No weapon formed against you will prosper ever. Do not let go of the wheelchair. Okay, do not let go of the reason why he brought you to that place, whatever that place is. And you don't necessarily have to be in a wilderness during this time. Many of us are in many different seasons. I'm not in a wilderness, but this is still a word for me right now. You may not be in a wilderness. You may be in a different season. You may be crossing over into your promised land, but the Lord is saying, don't let go of the reason why he sent you to wherever he has you or wherever you're going. You may get backstabbed in that place, People may rise up against you. Enemies may come your way, but God will never leave you or forsake you. There's more on your side than who's with them, okay? God has never lost a battle. You can trust his BBB review. You can trust his Trustpilot review. He has 5 stars, okay? He's never lost a battle. He's never had a dissatisfied customer, okay? You can trust him. You can bet everything on him. The situation may feel iffy. You may feel disappointed. You may feel angry. You may want to go slap off on the person. Silence. We talked about this weekend. Tell the loud you to be quiet in this moment and let God speak for you. I didn't have to go to my ex-mother-in-law and say, why did you say this? This really hurt me. God had stepped up for me. She apologized without me saying anything. But God told me he would handle it. But he said, unblock her. Because by you blocking her, you're blocking your blessing. By you wanting to go home and leave early, you're not finishing what I sent you there for. I sent you there to care for them. I sent you there to care for someone. Your presence just being around the midst of these people, even some of them being your enemies, because your presence carries me, and this is God speaking, because your presence carries me, because your presence carries the Holy Spirit, your enemies have no choice but to bow to my presence in you. So regardless of where God has you or where he's sending you, don't let go of the reason why he's sending you there. It's bigger than you. I went to Arkansas to help my ex-husband's aunt. It was bigger than me. The Lord had given myself confirmation as well as my ex-husband's aunt confirmation that I was supposed to be there to help her. There was purpose behind that. There was purpose behind that. And the Lord brought me back as I was in the bathroom and he was bringing these dreams back to me and these revelations. He brought me back to the story of Mephibosheth, right? He brought me back to that story. And Mephibosheth was a son of Jonathan. He was also the grandson of King Saul, Israel's first king. When Saul and his sons died in battle at Mount Gilboa or Gilba, I don't know how to pronounce it, Mephibosheth was only 5 years old. His nurse, someone who was supposed to care for him, right? Listen, someone who was supposed to care for him picked him up trying to save him and flee and run from the enemies and ended up dropping him and making him paralyzed, making him lame for the rest of his life. So someone that was supposed to provide care for Mephibosheth dropped him, trying to flee from the enemies, right? Y'all better hear this spiritually. And she was sent to care for him. I was sent to a place to care for someone, to provide for someone, to help someone. And God was saying, don't let go. Don't drop her because the enemies are coming at you. Hold on tight. There's purpose in this. A nurse that was supposed to care for this child instead did opposite and crippled him. He was lame for the rest of his life. Now, all things work for the good of those that love the Lord and walk according to purpose. So, of course, God turned that thing around for Mephibosheth's good. He was crippled, but he also ended up being a part of royalty. Okay? And if you don't know the story, go read it. Even though he was crippled, the Lord still blessed him because God will turn anything around for your good. It doesn't matter who drops you. He will turn that thing around for your good. So Mephibosheth may have been crippled, but he ended up going from poor and not having enough to in a royal house, okay? He ended up being rich, a part of royalty. So God turned it around for his good, but the Lord is saying wherever he has you, regardless of the backstabbing and the enemies coming against you, don't let go. He sent you to that place to care for them, whoever them is to you. Whether he had you standing in the gap for a husband, a wife, an ex-husband, an ex-wife, a mother, a sister, an auntie, whoever. He sent you wherever he's sending you to care for someone. Don't let go because your enemies are coming at you. There's a cloud over your bed, okay? And a bed is a place of intimacy. It's a place of fellowship and commune with God. You can look at it as your marriage bed. My first husband, your first husband is God. He says, I'm your husband. I'm your maker. The Lord Jesus is his name. So God is watching over you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Don't let go. Wherever he has you and he's telling you, care for this person. I have you here for a reason. I know it hurts. I know it feels like you're being backstabbed. I'm using all of this for your good. I'm opening your eyes to things. I'm letting you see the characteristics of this person, but don't block them. Let me deal with it because I'm your vindicator. You don't have to vindicate for yourself. Don't let go. So that's the word, guys. I'm going to get back to work and try to return these calls because my like it's crazy this morning, but I just wanted to share that with you guys because somebody needed it. It's a reason why God brought this word back to me. And again, this happened in 2021. This happened in 2021. And by 2022, the Lord had completely cut that relationship with my ex-mother-in-law and myself. Like, we don't talk at all, right? So God knew his timing is perfect. Don't try to act according to your feelings or emotions and you do something untimely. Wherever God has you, finish the job, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what season you're in, he's covering you. So that is the word, guys. I love you. And yeah, I don't know if we'll talk soon because when I start fasting, the words just come, but that's the word, y'all. Somebody needed that. I love you guys. Have a great day.